Good evening, and thank you for coming. This evening is going to be an opportunity to hear from and network with small business leaders, technical support, representatives from regional, community, and governmental entities. I'd like to recognize several of our local key partners: Manatee Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Council, Bank United, Station 22, Career Source Suncoast, City of Bradenton, Manatee County Government Economic Development, SCORE, and if there are any other partners that we have here and I did not mention you, please raise your hand in the audience. I know we had several here. Charge it to my head, not my heart. I also wanted to say to continue to help yourself to refreshments, complimentary of Premier Catering. Shout out for Premier Catering in the house. Also wanted to thank Gold Coast Eagle for allowing us to host our program, our meeting here. It was a fabulous, fabulous establishment. We love it. And thank you to METV for filming. And we love Charles Clapsaddle. But thank you. METV is here to record our meeting tonight. I want to move right on into introductions. We have Mr. Albert Lee, and if the panelists will come on up to the front and take your place. Mr. Albert Lee is CEO of Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. We have Dr. Cynthia Johnson. We call her Dr. Cynthia J. She's Director of Florida Small Business Development Center at Pinellas County Economic Development. We have Michael Gallen, Vice President of Manatee Chamber Small Business Council, and Sherod Halliburton, CEO and President of Manatee Community Federal Credit Union. This is going to be our panel for tonight, and I'm going to start off with Michael Gallen, and he's going to do just a small intro, and then to Sherod Halliburton. Thank you. He's not going to stay. He's not going to stay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. I just want to welcome you all this evening to the Tampa Bay Regional Business Capital Accelerator launch. This is an opportunity to learn about a super exciting project that will add a really cool resource to our community that's needed. We all are here because we support small businesses. We're all here because we want to see businesses grow in our community to continue to grow strong. So I'm excited to hear today what this project is all about. I'm not going to tell you about the project, but as we go along throughout the program, we will learn more through Q&A and other means. Thank you again to Gulf Coast Eagle Distributors and Premier Catering. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Michael Gallen. I'm Vice President of Public Policy and Small Business with the Manatee Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is the largest chamber in the Tampa Bay area. We have about over 2,000 business members that employ nearly 70,000. So a lot of our members are here today, so we're glad you're here and supporting our community. Did you know that two out of every 3 jobs are created by small businesses throughout the United States? Did you know that 70% of small businesses are owned and operated by a single person in the United States? And that half of Americans either work at or own a small business. So that's what we're here today. That is the lifeblood of our community, of our local and our national economy. We're here to help grow small businesses. Some folks think that chambers of commerce are here to represent the larger corporations, and we know who they are throughout the community, and we do. We appreciate and we value those that invest in our chamber, and we support those large businesses. But nearly 50% of our members employ 5 or fewer. And if you look at the definition of a chamber of commerce, the definition of small business in the state of Florida, greater than 90% of our members are defined as small businesses. The chamber's mission is to build a positive business environment through strengthening, through enhanced quality of life, and you can't have one without the other. You can't have a strong business environment and a poor quality of life. So you need to have both. You need to build a strong business environment through increasing and enhancing our quality of life. So we believe that is our goal here today. Specifically, the Chamber's Small Business Council concentrates on bringing business development tools and resources to our members. We think that this program that we're going to talk about today is one of those critical resources that we can bring to our community in order to improve our community's overall quality of life and building that strong business environment that's so necessary. We're excited to enter into this project along with our community partners that are here today that we'll be learning more about, and those that will join us along the way as we learn and grow and through this Accelerator project. Increasing the capacity of individuals entering the business world, improving one's credit. What's not to like about that? I'd like to introduce Sherod Halliburton, CEO and President of Manatee Federal Credit Union. Sherod is a lifetime community advocate, having worked most of his life improving the lives of our community, fighting the good fight. Sherod is the past chairman of the Chamber's Small Business Council and a good friend. Sherod.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy schedules to join us this evening. I feel like I'm in a high school class. Everyone's in the back of the room. I mean, what's going on with that? As Michael stated, small businesses are the heart and soul of every community. And so what we're trying to do is to create a continuum. By show of hands, how many of you are small business owners? All right, all right. I have to say, I'm a recovering entrepreneur, okay? How many of you represent financial institutions? There's people in the room who want to loan money. Now, I want to make a comment because it's really interesting. I've heard so many times banks don't want to lend money, and I'm quite sure my counterparts will agree with what I'm about to share. Banks, credit unions, CDFIs, they are in the business of loaning money. They spend a lot of time, energy, and resources trying to source opportunities to loan money. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and it shouldn't be a secret, but sometimes it feels like it is a secret. You want to know what that secret is? Anybody, everybody? Is this mic on? Am I here alone? The secret is they want to loan money to individuals and businesses who are able and willing to pay that money back. That is a caveat. So let's be clear. Financial institutions are in the business of loaning money. And we have been fortunate to attract a number of different financial institutions who are very interested in being a part of this journey with us. How many individuals here represent government or quasi-government agencies? We got a little bit of government in here, or quasi-government. How many individuals here represent technical assistance providers or development services providers? We got some of that here. The reality is, and this may be corny, but it takes a village. And what we're trying to do is take a regional approach, bringing all the individual organizations and resources together to help provide access to capital and other resources for small businesses to be successful. You know, I have a very interesting perspective on small businesses. I have a strong background in credit. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I worked for Equifax for 5 years. I ran a government agency, and in that capacity, I launched several economic development not-for-profits and served as the chairman of the board, did development services, workforce readiness, and now I run a financial institution. Success is achieved when all that comes together. What happens to a lending institution if they have a customer, perhaps an existing customer, who has an interest in borrowing money, and that business customer doesn't have capacity. You have money on one side, you have a need on the other side. Why can't that come together? Sometimes, be quite frank, small business owners, we take the attitude that, well, the system just shouldn't work like that. And I shouldn't have to have this in order to get that. Erase it. We want to help to introduce you to what is required, not what you think should be required. You know, as the lending institution, you may think that, well, hey, I work hard, so why won't they loan me money? I have a 500 credit score and I can barely pay the bills I currently have. I was talking to Dr. Johnson earlier, and she talked about the language of lending. I've had people walk into my office and talk about their needs, and in 5 minutes, make it very clear that I don't want to loan them any money. If you don't loan me this money, my business is going to go under, and I have this bill and I can't pay it. Well, that doesn't get a lender excited about loaning you money. I don't jump up and say, oh, wow, you're going to lose your house? So maybe I should trade the money that you can't pay right now for money from our organization, and then you won't be able to pay us next month. So just kind of understanding the language of it and understanding what the financial institutions are seeking to achieve is going to be very important. So we want to help you with that. And we want to create a mechanism that creates different entry points. You might have someone who is working with a local economic development office. Go to that office and talk to the representative and express that you have a need. Well, we want to line up service providers, financial institutions, technical assistance providers, and be able to give you access to whatever you need in order to build your capacity to achieve your financial goals. For some of you, it may be building your personal financial capacity. So let me tell you what I've heard more times than I like to repeat. Oh, don't pull my business credit. Don't pull my personal credit. Let me correct myself. Don't pull my personal credit. Pull my business credit. Pretty much told me that you have terrible personal credit. And the reality is, for small businesses on the financial side, your personal finances is going to be the most important consideration that a financial institution is going to have when they make a decision. Mark, am I right? Mark is my brother at Bank United. And we have these conversations on a regular basis. We want to loan money. And so we'll kind of talk about how we propose to be able to get you from where you want to be, from where you are to where you want to be. Now, when we talk about access to capital, let's be clear what we're talking about. We're not talking about venture capital. We are not talking about creating a network of venture capitalists that invest in your business. We're talking about creating a continuum of financial institutions that may be able to loan you $500, that may be able to loan you $20,000, that may be able to loan you $50,000, $100,000. Mark, how high do you go? $100 million. How high do you go? Yes, your institution. $7 million. So you have financial institutions that play in different areas. And what we want to do is, if you need $7 million, we want to help you to get there. We don't want to send you to this gentleman to try and borrow $7 million when you do not have the capacity to qualify for $7 million. So what we want to do is be able to help you to understand what is required, provide you access to whatever types of loans you may need, provide you access to whatever services you might need to be able to move to that next level. And it's all about regionalism. We have people here from Manatee. If you're from Manatee, raise your hands. All right, Manatee on the right. We have people from Pinellas. If you're from Pinellas, raise your hand. We got Pinellas in the house. We have people from Tampa Bay, Tampa. Any people from Tampa? Okay, so we have Tampa. We've come together, and then coming together as a regional has given us the ability to access resources and to consolidate resources to allow us to serve people better. We can continue to stay in our own silos and serve a few people, or we can come together collectively and serve more. We can fight over a small pie, or we can build a huge cake. You know, so what we're talking about is to make sure that those people who have money to lend are in the room with those people who need to borrow, and for the technical assistance providers and the local government agencies and the chambers who can provide the support to help those individuals qualify. So the challenge, lack of access to capital. My business is really starting to take off. I need more money. That is probably the number one issue that is raised from small businesses. So that is our challenge. It has been identified as a chief impediment to micro and small businesses. You have business owners who may have an opportunity for a government contract. I was talking to Dr. Johnson about that earlier. Well, maybe the requirements say you have to have $1 million worth of bonding capacity. You have to have X amount of dollars available to pay salary because you're not going to get paid right away. What we want to do is to help build your financial capacity so that you could qualify for the different types of opportunities for your business, as well as the different channels to access capital for your business. Now, this is the first step, guys. It's going to be a work in progress. We're not talking about introducing a new program. You're small business owners, you're working hard, you don't have a lot of time. So we aren't talking about introducing you to a program per se. Maybe I'm a little lofty. I think we're talking about more of a movement. But we're going to ask you to commit to a certain process in order to move this movement forward. And we want to look at, first and foremost, training and preparing you to access capital. Now, all small business owners are not created equal. So there may be a small business owner who needs different types of training. Maybe they don't manage their books on QuickBooks, or they don't have a financial software. Maybe they're mom and pop, and they don't have many employees. Maybe they are an emerging business that is further along that is looking for $1 million. We would not deal with that business the same way we would deal with a business who has a lesser need. However, that small business who needs $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 today may need $7 million tomorrow. So we don't want to dismiss that. We want to meet you where you are, identify what you need, and move you along a continuum. Improving credit and building foundation for capital access. I've kind of gone back and forth with some of my colleagues here. They're like, okay, yeah, credit repair. I said, pump the brakes. We don't do credit repair. This is not about credit repair. This is about strategies to improve your credit. And that's different, and we'll talk about that a little bit different later. For some of you, starting with smaller consumer or business loans and graduating, those lending institutions that deal on the smaller end of the spectrum will know the underwriting criteria for the larger financial institutions. So I will know when a small business has approached a point where I can send them to Mark, or, I'm sorry, what's your name? Preston. Or Preston. And so what we feel is we will grow this large enough to where Mark isn't directly competing with Preston. We want to create enough opportunities because Mark's underwriting criteria and the types of businesses he's looking for might be different. There might be a particular industry that he does well at. We might look at Mr. Lee, who as a CDFI has a wider net in regards to his underwriting capability. So it could be that you qualify for a $50,000 loan potentially with Albert Lee, but you don't yet qualify for a $1 million loan with Mark. But ultimately, your work with my institution, Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, your work with Albert Lee's institution, Black Business Investment Corp., and your work with Bank United or with Preston's institution is all about moving you along that continuum. Meet you where you are, get you access to whatever resources you need to get to wherever you want to go. And who benefits when all that happens? Everyone. Everyone. If we're growing our small businesses, we're employing people. We're generating revenue into the economy. We're creating a more vibrant community. You know, we have our Manatee Economic Development Council representative here. We're creating an environment to where maybe even larger businesses might be inclined to move here because they see all this movement going on. So doing something big, doing something different, in all my years in working with small businesses, we've had incremental success. We've had a business have a little success here. I've worked with various chambers. We want to have tremendous success. You know, we want to transform the lending and borrowing landscape. And we can do it with all of you in this room. So, ultimately the goal for a lot of you is to graduate to larger business loans. What we want to do is to take a step back. Is it Michael? Are you? We want to lay out the different partners, and they'll talk about the role that they will play in this initiative. And so, as I stated earlier, this is going to be a process. This is no program. This is one of a number of gatherings that we're going to have. We're going to have gatherings in St. Pete for business owners, technical assistance providers, financial institutions, and then we're going to have gatherings locally for not the small business owners, but for the lenders and technical assistance providers, and really come together. And we have some great TA providers. We have some great development services providers. We have some organizations doing some incredible things. We have the Station 2, you know, a really forward-thinking business accelerator that maybe some of you could benefit from but don't know about. You know, we have incredible resources available at the SBDC and through SCORE that some of you could benefit from but don't know about. And so the whole thing is to move away from this competitive posture and to recognize that with all the needs that small business owners have, there's a place and space for all of us. And it's figuring out what different organizations do best and directing people to those organizations when a small business owner has a specific need. And so all of the lines that we have, I have my organization over here, and you have your organization over there. All these organizations serve incredible functions. We have the Black Chamber of Commerce represented. And some people, in fact, this is very interesting. I had someone ask me a question the other day, why do we need a Black Chamber of Commerce? Well, they make a commitment to providing services and resources catering to a particular demographic. That's no insult to another group. Not at all. They recognize that perhaps there's some unique needs that exist in the population that they serve. Now, I will go one step further and say, let's get together, not disappear Black Chamber of Commerce. Let's figure out how they can continue to serve their unique niche in a quality manner, which they do, let's be clear, and sometimes come together with a larger chamber to serve a larger audience. I'm playing matchmaker here. So we all have our different niches. We all have our different talents and capacities. Where we truly succeed is where we bring all of that together. I feel like I'm preaching today, you know? Well, you know? But I am sincere in my words. I say I'm a recovering entrepreneur. I've taken much more time than I should, but I will share one thing. I left corporate America. By the time I was 31 years old, I'd done 10 years in corporate America. AT&T, IBM, and Equifax, and I started a small business with my best friend and business partner. I put a second mortgage on my home. He put a second mortgage on his home. And we were going to conquer the world. The story didn't end well. He died in a car accident. Now, both had promising corporate careers. Now, all of a sudden, we were scrambling. Someone after the fact said, "Did you have key man insurance?" I'm like, what's that? If I had been plugged into a network like this, I would have understood what that was. Perhaps we could have continued moving that business forward. And from that point on, my path had to change. I ended up moving into community development and into banking, but I always had this place in my heart for small business owners. So I understand how challenging it is, and I also understand how important it is. And so as someone who runs a financial institution, I want to be a part of creating access for small business owners. But you have to do your part. I am going to share a biblical reference, and that is lean not to your own understanding. You know, so accept guidance from people who are in the know. I loan money for a living. I may have a little insight into what a lending institution might be looking for in order to help you achieve your goals. Let loose of what you think lenders should do and lean into what lenders truly do and look for. So Michael's going to get us started and bring up the different partners who will talk specifically about the areas that they're going to focus on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherod. That was a great overview of the program. And I'd like to, we have the 30,000-foot level. I'd like to learn more about the nuts and the bolts. So, with Mr. Albert Lee and Dr. Cynthia Johnson, if we could, kind of talk about your role in this, and then we can have some Q&A from the audience. I think that would be beneficial to us all. So, would you like to start, Albert?
I'm gonna have to stand up.
You can come up here if you'd like.
Yeah, I won't get too comfortable. I promise. I promise I won't get too comfortable. But because that light is just shining directly in my eyes, so I can't see you all. I want to be able to make eye contact with the folks that I'm talking with. But my name is Albert Lee, and I have the good fortune of being the president of the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. And I have with me a colleague of mine, Mr. Brent Everett. And Brent is our senior business development person and our portfolio manager. So he's going to be the person that kind of keeps me straight at the office and keep our portfolio straight. A lot of people say that can't happen, but I'm convinced that he's the man to do it. So, and it's also good to see a number of friends in here. We have our partners here with us from St. Petersburg, of course, Sherod here, and we have Dr. Johnson with Pinellas County. And so we also have Watson Haynes with the Pinellas County Urban League. So we have a lot of our friends here. And as Sherod said, it is a continuum. It does take a village. In this case, it takes a village of resource providers, but also capital providers. And that's where we come in. We do both. We provide both technical assistance, but rather than just tell you that your plan looks good or your plan looks bad, we can put money behind it if we believe it's something that makes sense for us. The Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation has been around since 1987, so we are currently in our 31st year. I have served as president and CEO for about 5 years, been involved with the BBIC going back almost since inception, either on the board or working for some of the investor banks that started the organization. First and foremost, we were started as a capital provider. The name Black Business Investment Corporation came about because there was a huge disparity study done that found that there was a huge disparity between the access of capital for African American business owners versus others. And as such, the program was started back in 1985 with the state and has evolved since that time. We became a CDFI in 2002, and we have maintained that certification through the U.S. Department of Treasury since that time. But some of the things that have happened with us over the years, aside from making loans to a number of small business owners, we've also developed other funding sources. So we now have a couple of funding sources that we use to fund loans outside of just African American business owners. We can also make loans to other business owners as well. And that's a very recent development for us. One of the banking partners that made that possible is Bank United. I don't know if Mark was aware of that, but that is something that we worked when Brent, who used to work for Bank United, was very instrumental in making that happen with Claire and their team over at Bank United. The other thing that we provide is, I told you, technical assistance. So we have our technical assistance piece, and you'll see that. Can I go ahead and hit the slides? What's that? Let me start off with the catch program, and then we'll go back to the different products. Yep, that one. Let's stick with that one. Okay, so again, part of what we do is provide technical assistance. I've been in the lending business for, and I tell people, it stuns me when I actually say this, but my banking career started 30 years ago. And I remember when guys used to stand up and say that when I was a young guy coming out of college and working at the bank, and I used to think about how old they were. And now I'm one of those guys, and I say that, but I still don't think I'm that old. But I guess I am. So I am one of those old guys now. But my banking career started 30 years ago after I graduated from college and was recruited back to a large regional bank in Tampa and started off as an analyst. At that time, they brought us in the training program. You had to learn all facets of the bank, and then you had to compete to get in a department. And I was on the corporate side, so I had to compete to get in the credit department, which was a coveted position because they lied to us and told us, you guys are the future presidents of the bank. This is where the bank presidents come from. And so we all drunk the Kool-Aid, and then we would sit there and duke it out and try to be the top analyst, and hopefully we get promoted and become president. Obviously, that did not happen. However, I did obtain some very good skills when it comes to analyzing companies. And I had the good fortune of analyzing both small and large companies, and also understanding a little bit more about what make companies tick when it comes to financials. So with that, what I've been able to do is use those skills to help small business owners. Also, to assemble a team at BBIC that can help individuals with that. And I've also gotten a chance to get to know a lot of our resource providers, people like Dr. Johnson and her team, who can also provide that. And I can tell you as an analyst, it is a critical part of being a business owner. But just like many bankers, how many people are either current bankers or ex-bankers in the room? All right. We as bankers, we like to think that we know about business, right? So as an analyst, especially us guys, we think we are very good business people. Why? Because we analyze financial statements. We criticize business owners because that's our job as analysts and underwriters, right? So then we decide to go out and start businesses. And then we realize all the things we criticize them for, we end up doing, okay? So how do they say mechanics have a tendency to have the worst cars? Barbers have the worst hair? I won't say we have the worst businesses, but we do struggle as well. But I had the good fortune of partnering with a client of mine, and we started a dry cleaning chain in Tampa. And we had 4 locations, about 17 employees, a couple of large wholesale accounts, and we were fortunate enough to sell that business some years later. I had been in banking for about 9 years at that time and decided I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. I had a very good client of mine that partnered with me to do that. So with that, what it does, again, is give you a lot of skills that you can use to provide technical assistance. So one of the things that we have found that was very critical in helping make good loans is for people to have good information, right, before they decide to take on those loans. So part of what we try to do as a community development financial institution is to provide that technical assistance. At the bank, it was not my job, nor did the folks at the bank who I was actually producing for want me to spending time telling people what should make their business run better. That's why we had technical assistance providers that do that. However, now we get to be one of those technical assistance providers as well as providing the capital. So what we're able to do in our CATCH program is we take entrepreneurs through a 15-week program. It's 2 hours a week. They have to commit. They have to commit to 15 weeks, 2 hours a week, and we take them through a series of training, okay? Everything from how to select a bank account, to cash flow, to accounting, to paying your taxes, to how do you choose which type of business to form. And all of those things are all critically important in understanding and running your business. Now, here's the thing that I found in that experiment. You wouldn't believe how many business owners who are currently in business do not know some of those very basic things. We have people that come in the program and they're learning things. And I'm always surprised when you're learning certain things that we intuitively thought you should know as a business owner, it can be a tad bit alarming. But as a lender, okay, and having been a business owner, I can understand that because I had been a banker, I was an analyst at the bank, and I learned every day when it came to running and understanding my business. So that technical assistance piece is critical, and there are a lot of technical assistance providers. So we try to provide that 15 weeks over a period of time so it gives people an opportunity to absorb that information. The CATCH program has been very successful. One of the things we added as a part to our CATCH program and to our training that differentiated us a bit was with the first couple of classes, we offered a stipend. So if you finished and you completed all 15 courses, then you qualified and we gave you a $2,500 stipend that did not have to be repaid. That was to help cover the gap for individuals who said, well, you know, now that I have knowledge, I'm glad you guys gave me all of this information, but what can I do with this now? I still don't have the money to, you know, file and get my corporation, or I still don't have money to pay rent or pay the deposit for me to get my space. That $2,500, while it's not enough, obviously, to finance the business, many times it's enough to give people a boost. And we had some very good partners that helped us do that. The other phase to that now is we're looking at a program called Catch Up. And by the way, CATCH stands for being coachable, action-oriented, time-sensitive, collaborative, and helpful. Okay, and all of those were things we thought that business owners have to have. So the Catch Up program would take it to the next phase. It's going to be a 9-week program, and that program is designed for individuals who are already in business, but they need some additional training to get them to the next step. And what we're going to offer them is an opportunity to get a line of credit through the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. So it's those kind of innovative things that we're trying to do to give everybody access to being an entrepreneur. Sherod said something a few minutes ago with regards to who benefits when businesses survive and businesses grow in America. We all do, because we never know what business will be the next business that will provide something or create something that does not exist and allows our economy to expand. The other thing that it does is it removes barriers. It removes barriers, and that's important. And so that's what we try to do as the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. If you could, switch back to that other slide. These are some of the, no, these aren't the products, but this is some of the information about the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. The loan products we offer both term loans, lines of credit. We also offer contractor financing to help finance certain contracts. And of course, we offer the technical assistance. One of the things that I mentioned to you all earlier was that we have a couple of investor banks that are going to be providing some funding for us in the form of lines of credit that we can use to expand our lending pool to cover everybody. Now, as a CDFI, we primarily focus on underserved communities. That's what CDFIs do. But in those communities, one of the things that we found as a banker, I found we did not want our bankers going after business that we considered undesirable or small or just didn't fit in our portfolio. Many of those are the types of businesses that you find in underserved communities. And while it may not be the type of business that banks want to go after, it still represents a very good source of business for organizations like the BBIC. And so those opportunities are there. But those business owners may not be African American, okay? But they still need access to capital, and there's still some barriers that they may have as well in getting that capital because, again, the bank does not want to make loans of that sort or that size, and that's where the BBIC fits in. Because people ask the question, well, why would a bank want to support you guys and you guys compete against the bank? We actually help banks. Okay, we can do what banks can't do. We can go into markets where banks can't, and we can do size loans that banks really aren't interested in. If you need to borrow $10,000, go down to the bank and want to get a $10,000 small business loan. Okay, that is, if you talk to anybody, you're not going to be talking to one of the lending officers. Okay, because if you have $1 million a month goal as a business banker or as a commercial loan officer, you're not doing it with $10,000 loans. I certainly didn't want my guys doing that. Okay, as a senior lender, their job was to go out and produce loans. And we didn't consider loans being $10,000 loans. A loan of that size for us is fine, okay? So again, one of the things with this partnership, and Sherod is gonna share with you later about Credit Connect, okay? And I think what we'll be able to do with that is enhance the opportunities for small business owners to get loans. One of the critical problems we run into with small business owners is in getting their businesses started, they have to do what? Fund themselves. And how do many of them fund themselves? How many of you all that own businesses have ever used your own personal credit cards to support your business? You do. Well, we all know that's very expensive debt, right? So it can also impair your credit because the higher your credit balances are, the lower it can drive your score. But one of the great things that Manatee Federal Credit Union can do is they can offer consumer loans where we can't. We do business loans, and that's not a lot of their business. So we can have the opportunity to take a client, have them work with the credit union, sit there, find a way to restructure their personal debt, get the debt service down, bring the interest rate down, and that should and can many times help improve their ability to get a business loan because it lowers their debt service. What a lot of business owners don't realize, and I was having this discussion earlier with someone, what a lot of business owners don't realize is that when we underwrite your loan, we underwrite that loan using your personal credit as well, okay? And because we do what we call global debt service. So those are those are tools that this process we're hoping will be able to be used to help make some of our small business owners more successful. So we'll talk about that later in the Q&A. Let me sit down because I am sweating now, which means I've been standing up here too long, and I appreciate you all's indulgence.
I guess I come up here since the guys came up. I'll come up too. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Cynthia Johnson. I'm the Center Director for the Florida Small Business Development Center at Pinellas County Economic Development. I also run our Small Business Assistance Division of Economic Development, a county department. Go to my slide. One of the things I wanted to share with you is this collaboration came together as we were looking for ways in which we can assist the community at large at really understanding what you need to do to prepare yourself to be a good candidate for a loan financial institution to lend you money. Because like was stated earlier, they're in the business of lending money to people who have the ability to pay them back. And a lot of times small businesses don't quite look at that as like the real task at hand of showing someone how you can pay their business back. And it's not because they're trying to get over, it's not because they don't understand, but it's more or less because they haven't been properly educated on how to run the business. So at the SBDC, what we look at is our technical assistance is very strategic in how we approach our clients. This is our strategy model. I thought I'd put it up. We call it the bubble chart in my office. But what it does, it gives us a platform to start talking to our clients about seeing the big picture. Because if you have ever been in business and you're thinking, oh, I need some money, and then you come in to talk to a consultant and say, what do you need that money for? And then we have to walk them backwards to really understand what's your real need. How have you really analyzed what your real need is? So that's where the technical assistance piece comes into play. We at the SBDC have really spent a lot of time making sure that we identify our clients and send them on a track that's going to be most successful for their business need at that current time that they need that service. So we identify clients as pre-venture clients. Those are the ones who have ideas and not quite sure how to make it happen. Tire kickers in the old days, we don't say that anymore. But our pre-venture clients, at the SBDC, we don't spend a lot of time with pre-venture clients as it relates to a one-on-one consultation, because those clients need more education on how do I, take this idea out of my head and put it on paper. We have wonderful partners at SCORE that works a lot with those startup clients. So, and we did send a lot of those clients to education classes, not because in my other life I was a principal, so I don't think that I got to teach them all, but I do have to put them in a posture of learning, and that is learning how to make their business more solid. So we look at our pre-venture clients, and then we are talking about our sweet spot, which is our existing industry. That's where we were really working with clients on really taking their business to the next level. Our goal at the SBDC is to create an environment where you can grow your business. As a technical assistance provider, we have the unique position of working with all types of lenders. So we work with Albert Lee, Bank United, Wells Fargo, Sedco is here. All of them are financial partners for us. The good news for us as technical assistance providers is we are a neutral party. So clients can come to us and say, I really don't know what a cash flow looks like. Whereas if they went to Albert and say, Albert, what's a cash flow? There's not that same level of engagement because they want money from Albert and they don't want Albert to know that they don't know what a cash flow is, And so I'm that person that me and my team is like, look, let's sit down and let me show you what cash flow is. Let me teach you how to analyze your own QuickBooks instead of just pressing the print button. Then you're going to take it to Albert, and he's going to ask you about it, and you're not going to know what the heck just, came out on that paper. Of course, nobody in here, but I'm just hypothetically speaking. You may know somebody who can make beautiful documents, but when it comes to understanding line items and what, your cost of goods sold and where your money is going, it's like not so much. So that's where having a partnership with the SBDC is so vital to the growth of a business, because we have the unique opportunity to really help you understand how to run that business and to position yourself to be in the best position when you go to a lender for whatever reason it is, whether it's a 504 SBA loan, or 878 loan, or it's to work with Albert. We work with a lot of Albert's clients, because like he said, when he was at the bank, he wasn't spending a whole lot of time with TA. Instead, he was handing them, you go to the SBDC, let them polish and inform you on some things, and then come back, because the goal is to present your best self forward. You can change it over. One of the things that we do in a very strategic manner, I have a lot of, it's the educator in me, we do a lot of graphs and charts and showing you how you can go from A to B, and if you're not quite ready to go to C and you're here, you need to go this way instead of this way, because I know that oftentimes with adult learners, we have to touch it, feel it, get it wrong, and then we can get it right. So that's all, research data that how adult learners work. That's how our brains work, whether we want to admit it or not. But when we make the mistake, we learn better than if we just did it and did not have any error. So error for us is an opportunity to grow. And in doing that, we spend a lot of our specific time as consultants doing one-on-one things with individuals who would be ideal candidates for the CATCH program, because they definitely need to be coachable. Definitely need to be coachable, and they definitely need to be committed to the time. But one of the things that when we have those growth posture businesses that a lot of entrepreneurs such as yourselves and service providers and financial partners don't realize is that the SBDC, we have some wonderful tools. I have a government contract specialist in my office. She has access, well, my whole team has access to every federal government contract in the U.S., no matter what state, no matter what town, no matter what industry. We can tell you when that next contract is coming. We can tell you who has the contract. We can tell you how long they have had it. We can tell you who the contract manager is, give you contact information, and help you position and put together a strategy to go after that government opportunity. A lot of entrepreneurs pay a lot of money to get access to those types of resources. We are fortunate in the state of Florida that the Florida SBDC, our state director, deemed it important enough to make it a tool for us. So if you're an SBDC client, you get that information at no cost. That's part of our one-on-one consultation that we do with you. So I did want to mention our contracting and federal access that we have to help you access those contracts. We do the exact same thing with state and local contracts. The other thing is, one of the areas what worked with this partnership is we talk about our growth model and how we're going to position our businesses to, one, access capital, two, understand what they need to do as part of their market growth strategy. So we spend a lot of time with some strategic planning. We've done everything, and my center is not, well, it is special. It's special to me. My center has resources that I know we also have here in Sarasota, because Sarasota is actually part of the USF region, SBDC region. So we do have a consultant that does cover this area out of the USF office. In the Tampa Bay area, we cover about nine communities in the Tampa Bay area. But where I was going with the access to the financial partners, what we can do is we utilize the network resources for any client need. I do not have a CPA in my office, but I do know that my Tampa office has a CPA. So I will call my CPA from the Tampa office, and they will come over and do a consultation, and we co-counsel with the client for need. Also, if you do business outside of the area, we have network nationwide. So what we do is, I've had clients, I have a coffee lady, she has a coffee boutique, but she came from Detroit. So when she came to Florida from Detroit, the Detroit SBDC sent her to me, and then what I was able to do was to take all of her records and make sure that she found what she needed to have in this area. So if you're looking to expand and do business outside of the area, you want to get an assessment of, I wonder how it is to do business just in the state of Florida, in Orlando or in Miami, you can call the SBDC, and they can do some research and help you identify what you need to find in order to be able to grow your business in those various markets. The other thing I wanted to speak briefly on is what we have as it relates to understanding how to take the international market to grow your business. We are really looking to grow minority business participation in the international market. And there are a lot of opportunities that aren't traditionally perceived to be accessible by minority businesses for international opportunities. Well, I will say to you, I think that that is very much changing. And there are growing opportunities in the international market for each of you to participate in. And if you have access to capital and you can put together a nice marketing plan for how you can grow your business in the international market, then there's an opportunity there to increase your revenues and make sure that you have a nice diversified portfolio. One of the things in accessing capital is making sure that you have some diversification in it. What we have found is that that one contract that your friend helped you get because she works at such and such company, you've had it for the 5 years, it has grown your business. What happens when that friend retires and somebody new comes along and they don't know who you are and your business is all tied up in that one contract? Well, what we try to do as technical assistance providers is to help you to understand how should I diversify my clientele, and how can I diversify my product to make sure that I'm meeting the industry need? Because even if you provided the best widget, nobody's buying widgets. You really don't have a good product. You just have the best widget that you have the best widget. Nobody is procuring it. So one of the things that we have done with our partners in helping our clients to understand how important utilizing your technical assistance providers to make sure that you have a strong presentation of your business that leaves the best impression on a financial institution is utilizing your SBDC, your SCORE, your chamber. It works very well in my office because my office, the SBDC is part of economic development. So I'm able to take our clients to whatever level they're at. So today I got a new lead from somebody in Detroit, sent me a lead of somebody who's moving to Florida. They are a small business, but it's in a targeted industry, so I have partnered them up with my economic development team, and we're trying to find them some land, and I'm trying to help them get a loan with my SBA 504 guys. So I'm doing all of these things, and it just came because the person went to one of the workshops at an SBDC, and the lady called me and said, this lady is moving to Florida. What do you think? But now that person now has access to the whole economic development ecosystem here in the Tampa Bay area just because of one encounter. And then lastly, what I would suggest to all of you is that as you create the relationships, whether they're financial relationships with lenders, community relationships with the Urban League, with the greenhouse, with the cities, remember that all of us are vested in your interest, and you have to be coachable to make sure that you are successful. Because the worst thing that we can do as economic development professionals is to put you in a position where you're not successful. And in order to do that, you have to have some real honest and relevant conversations. And oftentimes, service providers don't like to have those candid conversations, but I will assure you, if you come to the Pinellas County SBDC, you will get candid conversation because I value your time and I value the time of my consultants. And I know that as an entrepreneur, you have made an investment, and that investment is just not about you. Your success will impact not only your family, but our community at large. So we will always spend the time to make sure that we help you create the foundation that is required so that you can be successful. Thank you.
And I'm just going to zoom through my part. You guys have seen enough of me. What role does my institution play in this partnership? And what you've seen is a number of partners, and there will be other partners that provide general and unique offerings. And so I am President and CEO of Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, founded in 1958. We're 60 years old. Let me tell you what we do exceptionally well. We build the financial capacity of consumers. So if you're a consumer, we have strategies and products that can help you take that 500 credit score to 580, that 580 credit score to 680, that 680 credit score to 750. And let's be clear, that transforms your access, folks. You know, let's not fight the credit situation. It is what it is. You know, this country is based on credit. And as a small business owner, your personal credit is going to dictate your ability to gain access to finances for your business. So whether you think that's fair or not is inconsequential. It is reality. So the role that we play is, as I stated, we are exceptionally good at building the financial capacity of consumers. So for this project, we are extending that to extending the financial capacity of consumers who just happen to be small business owners. Okay, so what does that mean? And how are we proposing to do that? Our institution is launching, probably within the next 60 days, a personal finance and credit app, Credit Connect Daily. That app is a tool that will allow you to monitor, manage, and gain access to a variety of different loan products that we have available. So imagine if you can see real-time movement on your credit score. You have a credit card at a company. They report your payments. The same day that that payment is reported, you will have the ability to refresh your credit score and see how that impacted your credit. So we're going to give you that tool. And that tool is going to talk to you about your credit. It's going to talk to you about your payment history. It's going to talk to you about how you're managing your capacity. It's going to talk to you about your inquiries and things of that nature, and it's going to give you tips and tools to be able to manage that whole process. Imagine if you can realign your personal debt. One of the challenges is we all have cars, we all have credit cards. One of the first steps with this project for those individuals who need to improve their personal capacity, and Albert alluded to it, is we're going to restructure your current consumer debt. So we're going to look to see if we can take you out of your existing auto loan, lower the interest rate, change the terms. That could change your monthly outlay significantly. Would you agree? If we reduce your auto interest rate from 11% to 5%, would that leave a little money in your pocket? Okay. What if we then, because you're paying your credit cards as agreed, but they're maxed out, because I can't help you if you're not paying them as agreed. But if you're paying your credit cards as agreed, and we took you out of that revolving debt, and we refinanced that low interest rate and stretched it out over time, what have we accomplished for you? We've accomplished a couple of different things. You know, we have lowered potentially your monthly payment, because now you have a lower interest rate and terms have been stretched out. We've also grown your credit score significantly. When you replace revolving debt with installment debt, depending on what else is going on with your credit, you can see 50, 60, 70-point jumps in a very short period of time. So what happens when your credit score jumps that much and your monthly outlay has been reduced? Well, now we can loan you up to $50,000, which would be a consumer loan, installment loan. It will help your credit positively, and that consumer loan can now be used to support your business. We've realigned and restructured your financial situation. Why would I be inclined to then make that $20,000, $25,000, $50,000 loan? You've demonstrated to me that your monthly outlay has gone down. You've shown some discipline by not running your credit cards back up. You run your credit cards back up, all bets are off, folks. Show some discipline, and now we are giving you access to financial products that you need to achieve your goals. We approach lending in two ways. We approach lending by first and foremost helping you to access what it is you need. So if you need $5,000 or $10,000, we are going to help you gain access to the $5,000 or $10,000 if you qualify with us. But we also do it in a manner that's going to grow your financial capacity. So we don't just say, okay, you need $5,000, what type of product do you want? No, we're going to say, based on your financial situation, an installment loan stretched over this period of time is going to have the best impact for you. Based on your situation, a line of credit, given your need for flexibility, is going to work for you. Based on your situation, we need to take you out of that high-interest auto loan altogether. So we're looking at how do we give you access to money, and how do we do it in a manner that grows your credit score, that improves your financial capacity, that gives you more options. And so those options may land you with Albert's group. Those options may land you with Justin's group. It may land you with Mark's group. And to have financial institutions, traditional financial institutions that understand that it's in the community's best interest to work with other types of financial institutions is incredible. We work with Wells Fargo, Bank United, Fifth Third. We work with Albert's group. There are all these different financial institutions that are not fighting. They're saying, hey, based on your needs, it's probably a better fit here. Some of it is niched. Some of it is general. It's like a technical assistance provider. Some of it is niched. Some of it's general. It's okay. And what we want to do, as Dr. Johnson came up here and talked about the technical assistance resources that they have, we want to bring all those resources to the table so that you can now decide, oh, well, what she's offering makes sense for me. Whereas we want to introduce you to what Tarnisha Group has to offer, because you may say, hey, what they offer makes sense for me. We may introduce you to the Station 2 team, which I just love, love, love. And you may recognize that a co-sharing space is what you need. And so the whole idea is to bring all these different resource providers and financial institutions together in a way that fills the gaps on what your needs are. And if we do that successfully, no one loses out. Mark doesn't lose out on loans from Albert. Maybe Albert gets a business and helps him go to the next level and then send him to Mark, and instead of it being a $500,000 loan, it's now a $5 million loan for Mark, where Albert probably is not interested in playing in that arena. So, we want to do something a little different, guys, and we feel confident that with your commitment to go on this journey with us, we can make a tremendous difference in the small business landscape. And we can keep going on forever with the different resource providers. But what we want to do is kind of shut that down. And we're going to open up the floor for questions and kind of deal with any of your specific questions. And I want you all to understand that this is a journey. We don't show up here tonight and all the answers are resolved, and everyone's life is so much better, and we're holding arms saying kumbaya. No, but if we make a commitment to sticking with this and informing all of our peers on what we bring to the table, and not being concerned if someone chooses a different TA provider. We have a very dear friend of mine, Andy Fox, who runs a private technical assistance development services organization. Andy has an area of expertise in marketing. So maybe that's what your need is. So the point is, we'll help you identify what your needs is, and then we'll do our matchmaking service and connect you with the appropriate resource provider to help you. All right?
Hi, my name is Sarah Hand. Our company is called Spark Growth, and we run Station 2. So the elephant in the room we didn't talk about is equity. So for entrepreneurs, that's that place where you come to us and you go, oh, I need a venture capital, a VC, or angel. So I'll just throw it out there that there's a lot of very cool, interesting things happening in that area. However, investors could care less about what you're looking for money if you don't have the personal financial capability that they're talking about building in you right now. So Nielsen has launched a diversity fund that they're running out of Tampa Bay Wave, a diversity accelerator, and they don't care if you are a woman or any one of those things that fits into diversity if you don't have personal capacity, right? Which you guys probably all know about it because it's way cool. And the catch-up program, do you run that virtually or only in person?
Only in person. One of the things we're looking at is moving that to virtual.
Okay, cool. Let's talk later. But I just wanted to bring that up because that's the one thing we didn't talk about was equity. That's one of the reasons that we love the stuff that Mark does is because if you're looking for funding, debt, equity, as an entrepreneur, you need to know all the different financial tools that are available and when to use them in your business. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions? Here in the back.
Sure. Hi, my name is Raj Dorasamy with the Matrix Business Accelerator. Thank you for having this forum here this evening. My question to Dr. Johnson, in addition to accessing contracts, does your team also provide access to grants? So that's the first question. And second question to the entire panel is, are you working both with nonprofits and for-profits or just the for-profit side? Thank you.
On? Okay. In response to the grant, I've been doing economic development since 2000, and I am not aware of any grants for for-profit businesses. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but I'm not aware of them being readily available unless you get into like a business plan competition or something like that. As it relates to the nonprofits, a nonprofit is a business as well. You know, it creates jobs. So there are a lot of the financial and education information sessions that are applicable to nonprofits. We don't specifically target nonprofits for service, for one-on-one consultation that is really geared towards for-profit industries. However, our business education classes are universal, and a lot of those practices are applicable to nonprofits.
And our focus is on for-profit enterprises. Now, we will provide deposit services, so you could open up an account as a not-for-profit, but on the lending side, our focus is consumer lending and small business lending. There are a couple statewide institutions that do lending to not-for-profits, one being the Florida Community Loan Fund and another being Neighborhood Lending Partners. So one of the things we could do is direct you to, if there's a need that none of our core partners have the ability to satisfy. One of the things that we anticipate being able to do is to serve as a conduit. So we want you to share those wonderful things with us. Hey, there is an entity doing this really cool thing, you know, make us aware of it, because we want to, you know, create a database where we can provide information to people who have specific needs.
My name is Frank Levy, and first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Johnson because I attended several of the different focus groups on the different industries, and I was welcome to Pinellas County and to the greenhouse and things like that. They couldn't provide me with things that are specific to the city or the county, but that, you know, they welcome and help you no matter what county you're in, and they've been doing that for a long time. So I really appreciate that. Now, as far as grants are concerned, there is a LinkedIn group. It's spelled in all caps, Grant space, alert, space, exclamation point. And that is a resource for people to look for grants, and that's part of the Project Transition USA member is part of that. I think it's his last name is Green. I remember that. I think it's Howard Green, and he's got a first initial that he runs that, and he lists all the different types of grants. A lot of that is a resource. So I'd like to thank you for that. And Stephen, Lance, and I are here representing also Cooler Brands, which helps startups with no upfront costs and collects on the back end only after they have 100,000. So there's
And I did want to just add a comment, because we are a network of resource partners. A lot of us have venues, or should I say avenues, by which you can go in and put your organization on a database so that everyone can have access to it. Like the Florida Virtual Entrepreneur Center, that's a venue where if you provide a technical assistance service, or you provide a service that can benefit entrepreneurs, you can go on that website and you can put your information in there, and then everyone can have access. So when they are searching for resources, you can pop up in that fashion. So thank you.
Yep. Making it over to you.
Good evening, Greg Davidson with 2020 program. Dr. Johnson, does your group work with any type of a company, regardless of how young or new it may be? And then Mr. Halliburton, does your credit union do any small business loans?
Yes, we work from, because we're part of economic development, we are able to assist a pre-venture client that's one with a great idea, a not so great idea, but a client with an idea all the way up to a Fortune 500 company. So we help you at every stage of your business cycle.
And we actually provide what we call business purpose loans. They're actually consumer loans up to $50,000 that can be used for business purposes. And we do that purposefully as a strategy to grow your personal capacity, to grow your credit score on your consumer credit report. So up to $50,000 for business purposes.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, my name's Davis Graham. Thanks for being here today. You know, there's a lot of people that are starting out and that are digging into their pocket. And where do you like to see people, how much they've invested, and before you consider investing in them?
Typically, we require 10%. And so if you are a business owner and your business has been up and running, and we can see that identified either in your retained earnings or your equity section, then we have then that's typically what we need. So also, if you're going to buy equipment, then we would require a 10% injection in buying that equipment and so on and so forth.
Okay, and then I have a follow-up.
Yes.
On the other side, you know, I actually have a friend that's starting out in a business, and I always remind him, you know, you really have got to incorporate paying yourself.
Yes.
And not to go without. Can you speak to that a little bit more?
Yeah, and I know Dr. Johnson, when you all help people build out their plans, you want to put that in. We, as I mentioned earlier, when we do our underwriting, you know, we do what we call global cash flow, and that incorporates both your personal and your business income. So if you're not taking a salary or you're reporting very little income on your personal tax return, then it actually can, you know, hurt you as well. But people say, well, yeah, but if I'm pulling the salary out of my business, isn't that going to actually reduce my bottom line. It might as well. So, but I would say it's good to pay yourself. Why? Because it shows you, or it gives you incentive. I paid myself in my business, okay? I started off from day one paying myself a check. Now, what I always understood is that if we were ever going to run short on payroll, the person that was not going to get paid was me. But because I liked seeing a check just like all of my employees, it gave me extra incentive to make sure that we generated the revenue and the cash flow to be able to get that paycheck. And fortunately, I never had to go without it. So I was fortunate in that regard. But I agree with you. Yes, you should.
No, my only comment to that is when we are assisting in creating the strategy for your business, those are the kind of probing things that we try to help entrepreneurs understand. You know, it's like, you know, one, you have some equity, you have some skin in the game, and then you could really, you just react differently when you have skin in the game, you know. And when you see that whether I sell a widget means if I get a check or not, it's something about that tangible thing of receiving payment for service that as adults we understand it when it happens. So I too agree that you should pay yourself at the rate. That's where the conversation comes, because you can't pay yourself more than you're making. You know, we've had some of those, but nobody in this room, I'm sure, have ever done such a thing. But that's where the consultation becomes very important, just to help you understand the balance and to understand how that factors into your whole cash flow.
While I was, Stan and I talked a little bit just about how network-oriented the Small Business Development Council is, and almost the infrastructure that creates is really kind of.
Well, the America's Small Business Development Center is the national network that is funded by the Small Business Administration. That's our funding source. And we are in all states in the U.S. And what we do is we look for a state partner. And in the state of Florida, we have the Florida SBDC. And then the Florida SBDC partners with, I think we have 62 offices in the state of Florida. So we partner with regions. So of those regions then partner with communities. Typically, the SBDC is connected to a college or university system. In Pinellas County, we're a little unique in the sense that I was already partnering with the SBDC before I came a center myself, so I didn't find it necessary for us to have the University of South Florida manage our process when we were doing it in economic development. So I created a sub-center. So my center is a little unique in the state because we are hosted by economic development, not by a university. But it makes it even more, for me, it makes it even better for the entrepreneur, because now you have all of the economic development resources in one area. So I take my clients from startup to growth all in the same arena, which has been extremely beneficial for my clients. And there are a couple of other communities in the state that do this model, but I know that we're kind of unique in the Tampa Bay area.
I'll take the liberty of one last question. This isn't working. What can we do as we walk out of here today, and as the Capital Accelerator project is rolled out, what can we do as resource partners, community partners, to plug in those individuals that are in need for this? And we'll end it there.
Well, I think one of the pieces. Oh, go ahead. I think one of the pieces that I think I was supposed to cover is where do we go? Where do we go now? What do we do? What are the next steps? When we applied, by the way, and I want to make sure that we give them credit, because the SBA partnered with us, with the Black Business Investment Corporation, through their Prime grant to provide the funding for us to do this. And then we brought in the Manatee County Credit Union to expand on what we had done in South St. Petersburg in 2015 with Dr. Johnson and her group, and with Nikki Capehart from the city of St. Petersburg and urban, she's the urban affairs director, and with Jessica Eilerman in the greenhouse. We were able to use those dollars to help coach up some additional businesses. So we were fortunate enough to be one of the only organizations in the state to secure that grant again to allow us to roll this out. So we wanted to do it take a regional approach, and wanted to do something a bit deeper to expand that capital accelerator piece. But one of the key things you have to have is you've got to have engagement. You've got to have people engage the resource partners so that they can lead you to the sources, okay? One of the things you'll hear people say is there's not capital, or I don't have any capital available, there's no money available. And, you know, I mean, now people say perhaps I'm a bit biased because I've been in banking for 30 years, so I've been around money for 30 plus years, and then been a business owner and been involved in capital development plans and things of that nature. But one of the things we're very fortunate in America that we don't have a shortage of is capital, okay? It's different types of capital. It works differently. And that was a great point you made about the different types of capital, because one of the things, we can do equity investments. We've never done them, but we have the capacity to do it, and it's something I'm interested in. But you got to have people who engage.
I did want to share with everyone that we will be having a finance fair in Pinellas County. And the finance fair is an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come, and it's like a vendor showcase, but the vendors are all financial institutions, various types of financing. It could be crowdfunding, it could be a CDC, a bank. So I have about 25 vendors, and then we invite all of the businesses to come, and you shop around and see which of the vendors provide the financial services or resources that can help your business grow. So that's going to take place in Pinellas County on July the 10th. However, the model has been, the program has been modeled throughout the state. So there'll be one in Tampa, and I'm sure we'll eventually have another one in Sarasota as well. So on behalf of the 2020 plan, Gypsy Gallardo and her team has worked extremely hard to get us together. She calls you on Saturdays and Sundays and make sure that we are all on one accord to support our businesses. And we would just like to say to everyone, we value your time, and we know that you could have spent it somewhere else. We hope that you share with others the resources and the movement that is happening to make sure that you are properly positioned to get those dollars that you need to grow your business. So thank you all for coming, and good night.